Farming versus salinity, a question of water resource management in Mohallu Salt Lake watershed. Let's start our journey from here, Lincoln in New Zealand, to Iran in Middle East. Okay, take a look at this map, but not this one really. Yeah, it's better. Iran located in Southwest Asia in Middle East with an area of 1,700,000 square kilometer. This country is one of the world's most mountainous countries. In the western part, there exist mountainous regions with ranges such as Zagros and Alborz mountains. The northern part of Iran is covered by dense forests, and the eastern part consists mostly of desert basins such as Dasht Kavir and Kavir Lut. Now I want to focus more on Fars province, which is located in south of Iran. It has oil and petrochemical industries as well as a large agriculture and mining industry. Shiraz is the administrative and capital city of Fars. It is also the fifth most populous city of Iran. This city located in northwest of Mohallu Salt Lake watershed. Geologically, this watershed has saline layers in depth and domes on the surface. The majority of rain-producing air masses enter the region from the west and northwest, yielding relatively high precipitation amounts for those areas. Toward the south and southeast, rainfall decreases. The mean annual precipitation for the province ranges from 100 to 800 millimeters. Therefore, most of the parts of this province is arid or semi-arid. Also, the shortage of water resources for agriculture usage is existed in the most of the plains of this province. Here is a list of relevant legislation, starting from different versions of law of land reform. Land reforms were a series of reforms launched in Iran in 1960s by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. It was controversial change, but anyway deeply affected water legislation in Iran. Water Nationalization Act in 1968 enabled the government to establish farm cooperatives. Since the Islamic Revolution, Iranian agriculture has been suffered from a low level of investment as well as confusing government policies. Traditionally, the provision of water has been the responsibility of the government. According to Iranian law, all water bodies are public properties. Now let's take a look at agricultural water supply in Iran. Imagine a typical farmer in Iran. His name is Qoli, and he needs water for irrigation his farm. So he goes to local agriculture support center. First, imagine there exists an irrigation channel near his farm. The support center staff will send him to a county irrigation office. There he can apply for a permit in order to use the irrigation channel. Then probably he will be happy because he will have the water. Now let's see who supervises these two offices that mentioned. The county irrigation office is a subdivision of Ministry of Energy in this way, and local agriculture logistics and support center is a subdivision of Ministry of Agriculture. And Ministry of Agriculture also has two other factions that can affect Qoli's life. First, Forest, Rangeland and Watershed Management Organization and Rural Cooperation Organization. Maybe Qoli needs some equipment for irrigation, so for sure private sector in the form of manufacturers and importers via dealers can affect his activities. Also maybe he needs some money, so maybe he could apply for a loan or other sort of financial support. For sure he needs some techniques and technical support. He personally can actually have these things, or maybe he will be a part of an NGO, of a local NGO, like local rural cooperation companies or local rural production cooperation companies. Now imagine there is no irrigation network near his farm. I can say it will be much more difficult for him, and it is the most common case for farmers in Iran. He should again go to the local support center, then he will send to provincial water authority. There he should apply for agriculture well and groundwater withdrawal permit, and usually it is time consuming and needs to go through a bureaucratic procedure. He will have permission for his well, but he needs to drill a well. So another player come to his game, drilling companies. Now he need to use water more efficiently, maybe by using a sprinkler or a drip irrigation system. So he needs to deal with syndicate of irrigation private companies. He's working in an arid climate, so maybe after a while he needs to use some artificial groundwater recharge technique, which is oriented and managed by forest and rangeland and watershed management organization. Now let's summarize the different parts of this diagram into a few components. Qoli needs to deal with private sector, government sector, NGOs, technical issues, and financial sector. Government sector is actually defined in two factions, because actually one of them are more technical, one of them are more ecological, and their approaches are a little bit different. Now let's go back to our region and Mahallu Salt Lake watershed. This region has many agriculture zones, and it is more or less under similar agriculture development policies, except Marv-Dash region in the north, which enjoys an open channel irrigation scheme. This is groundwater salinity map using electric conductivity index. As it can be seen, south part of Salt Lake has a critical condition in 2002, and it is getting worse in 2012. The high salinity area expanded and the index values increased. But how it happens? Normally when you drill a well, you withdraw fresh water from groundwater. But if you have a saline layer underneath, then also you will help the saline water to rise under your well. When you pump more and fresh water head decreases, then the saline water cone will affect your well and almost make it useless. It is exactly what happened here. Let's observe another factor. This is the land use map of the region in 1990. Please pay attention to the areas southeast of the lake. They are mostly agrarian bare soil, which means they were lands which were made ready for agricultural practice. Now take a look at the map of 2013. As it can be seen, the area of salt affected lands increased because farmers use low quality saline water for irrigation for a while, and the rest is turned into yellow, which means they are abandoned. Let's compare these two maps in one frame. This is the affected area, and some surprise. The fields in the neighboring areas flourished and seems to be more active. Why? It is simple. One management method for two different conditions. Local agriculture office in this region spends a fortune for pressurized irrigation methods to increase water efficiency. As it can be seen, in neighboring areas this policy worked and farmers there expand their activities, but simply farmers in the south of the lake cannot use this opportunity. Concluding, I can identify two major problems and limitations for irrigating fields in the south of Mahallu Salt Lake watershed: irrigation water salinity and water policies. Is there any solution for these problems? For the salinity problem, which is a natural problem, groundwater recharge and limitation of water withdrawal from aquifer may improve the condition, but this needs a cooperation between government sectors for restricting well permits and helping with groundwater recharge works. In the case of water policies, since it is mostly a local problem, policy for each area should be local and customized for those fields. Taking NGOs as an important player of this game, it could be possible to introduce local integrated water policies. But is it the solution?